Hello, and welcome yet again to Dullahan Reads. It's another week and another chapter in our long encyclopedia. Looks like today's going to be the start of Heaven's Ward, the 3.x expansion for Final Fantasy XIV. So, if you enjoy this content, if you love hearing about this directly from the Encyclopedia Eorzea, then definitely remember to like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'd love to see any comments or thoughts about what's being read in the video later on. So, Heaven's Ward. So it was that the Warrior of Light, together with some few companions, would come unto Ishgard at the behest of their faithful friend Lord Harshaphon. Though they had been brought low through treachery, their names blackened with royal blood, they yet held hope in their hearts and dreams of redemption. Coming to Ishgard. Upon emerging from the Sildon ruins through which he had made his escape from Ul'dah, the Warrior of Light was met by none other than Alphino Levieur. The scion, who had been betrayed and imprisoned by his own crystal braves, had been freed by Pippin Turbin, vice-marshal of the Immortal Flames and adopted son of General Raubon. With the aid of Pippin and a humble peddler, the Warrior of Light and Alphino sought out Cid Garland, who delivered them out of Thanalan and into Quarthus with all haste. Beyond the reach of the Crystal Braves and the Brass Blades at last, the pair sought refuge in Camp Dragonhead, where they were reunited with Chataru Taru and enjoyed a brief respite to consider their next course of action. After some discussion, the Scions resolved to seek sanctuary in Ishgard with the backing of Lord Harshaphon and his familial connections. They enjoyed the hospitality of Camp Dragonhead until finally being granted admission to the city proper as wards of House Fortem. And so, together with Alphino and Tataru, the Warrior of Light passed through gates long closed to outsiders and arrived in Foundation. There they were greeted by a humble manservant, who then guided them to Fortem Manor, where they would attempt to begin anew. Count Edmund de Fortem, Patriarch of House Fortem, had taken a tremendous risk in granting the Scions his protection, and so Alphino soon realized that only by publicly serving Ishgard could the Scions hope to silence his opponent's objections. However, Alphino also believed that this arrangement could benefit the Scions in unexpected ways, such as inviting contact with people outside Ishgard who might feasibly know something of their missing comrades' whereabouts. While he and Tataru focused their efforts on that task, the Warrior of Light aided the Count's two true-born sons, Lords Artorial and Emenelain, with their activities in Falcon's Nest and at Camp Cloudtop respectively. In western Coerthus, the adventurer uncovered a hidden heretic sanctuary, and in the process was briefly reunited with the Lady Iceheart. To his surprise, the once defiant heretic leader expressed regret for the atrocities committed by the Dravanians in the second assault upon Ishgard, which had taken place during the banquet in Ul'dah. In the Sea of Clouds, he encountered the Vanu Vanu, a race of bird-like beings, and discovered that, like so many other beast tribes, they had called upon a primal for salvation, in this instance, Bismarck, Lord of the Mists. However, the Warrior of Light's actions did not serve to endear the Scions to all the inhabitants of Ishgard. In what Lord Edmont surmised was nothing more than a political ploy to defame House Fortem, Alphino and Tataru were arrested by Sir Greneau, a knight of the Heaven's Ward, on the charge of fomenting heresy. These 12 chosen sirs answered to none save the Archbishop himself, and their testimony was unimpeachable. As such, under Ishgardian law, only the Fury could disprove Sir Greneau's claims by granting victory in a trial by combat between the accuser and the accused. Owing to his magical talents, Alphino was capable of fighting, but as Tataru was not, the Warrior of Light was allowed to fight in her place as champion. And so, under the watchful gaze of the Fury and the assembled gentry of Ishgard, the two Scions fought and defeated Sir Greneau and Sir Polychron, thereby earning Alphino and Tataru their freedom. Unlike many of his high-born peers, Count Edmond de Fortem was willing, if not eager, to work closely with the Warrior of Light and other foreigners. The personal memoirs he wrote chronicling the events surrounding the end of the Dragonsong War would be treasured by later generations for their historical value. Keeping the flame alive. Shortly after the trial by combat was concluded, the Warrior of Light received an invitation to a personal audience with His Eminence Archbishop Thordan VII. The Archbishop warmly welcomed the adventurer, apologizing for the misunderstanding which led to Alphino and Tataru's incarceration. Having taken the highly unusual step of dismissing his personal guard, he then revealed that he had communicated with the Asians, going on to explain that he was paying lip service to their wishes while plotting to move against them. He bade the Warrior of Light assist him in this endeavor, stating that only by wresting Eorzea from the shadowless villain's grasp could a lasting peace ever be forged. Yet this would not be the only troubling revelation that day, for upon returning to Fortem Manor, Tataru reported that Raubon Alden was to be executed for crimes against the Sultanate. Determined not to lose yet another ally, the Scions resolved to do everything in their power to rescue the deposed Flame General. They traveled to Limsa Lominsa and met with Admiral Merlewhip, who had remained a stout ally and had been working closely with Doman Shinobi to ascertain Raubon's whereabouts. She directed them to her contact in Revenant's Toll, who had learned that Raubon had been taken to Halatali in Vanalan. Together with the Domans, the Scions then rescued Raubon from the clutches of the traitorous Crystal Braves. Outside Halatali, Raubon and the Scions were approached by a messenger who claimed that his mistress was sympathetic to their cause and bade them return to the Waking Sands in Vesper Bay. Intrigued, they accepted this invitation, and upon arriving at the Scions' former headquarters, they were greeted by a number of familiar faces: Urianger, Pippin, and Papashan. Soon after, it was revealed that the messenger's mistress was Dullahan, head of the Order of Nalthal and a member of the Syndicate. To Raubon's immense relief, she confirmed a suspicion Alphino had long harbored, that Nanamo Ulunamo had not been murdered, and was in fact still alive and was likely confined somewhere in a state of induced slumber. Raubon resolved to free her from her captivity, and thereafter see that Lord Lolorito and all others involved were made to answer for their part in the betrayal. In search of Lady Iceheart. Regrettably, the Scions had precious little time to enjoy their reunion with General Raubon. Nidhogg's forces, twice before beaten back, were preparing to resume their siege of the Holy See. Upon returning to the city, the Warrior of Light and his comrades were faced with a choice: to remain in a besieged Ishgard or seek sanctuary elsewhere. But though Lord Edmund would have them seek shelter from the storm, the time for running had passed. Together, they would stand and fight. Yet even should the knights succeed in turning back the horde, the casualties would be catastrophic. Recognizing this, Alphino proposed that he and the Warrior of Light seek out Lady Iceheart, who had expressed contrition for her crimes, and persuade her to act as their intermediary in an attempt to convince Nidhogg to abandon his bloody course. They would be aided in this diplomatic mission by an unexpected ally, the Azure Dragoon, Estinian, who wished to be present in the event negotiations failed, and there was no recourse but to slay the beast outright. Thus did the three journey to western Coerthas, seeking to learn what they could of the heretics and their elusive leader, before eventually managing to summon her to a peaceful parley, where she would relate the history of treachery that fueled Nidhogg's wrath and the Dragonsong War. 1,200 years ago, an Elysian tribe first sought to claim the lands of Coerthas as their home, lands which were already home to dragonkind. Thus did a bloody war begin, a war that may have never ended, were it not for a woman named Shiva. While those around her fought and died, she attempted to parley with the dragons, and in so doing discovered them to be possessed of profound intelligence and reason. The great worm Hraesvelgr, in particular, so enchanted Shiva that she found herself growing to love the creature, whom her people considered a monster. In the eyes of a near-immortal dragon, however, the fleeting life of an Elysian is as that of a freshly cut rose. Scarce has the flower bloomed before it begins to fade and wither. Such melancholy musings plagued Hraesvelgr, who had found in Shiva an unexpected and beloved soulmate. Unable to bear the thought of their separation, the maid bid the worm consume her that their spirits might be entwined for eternity. Though loath to perform the deed, Hraesvelgr ultimately gave in to her plea, and soon thereafter the tale of their ill-fated love spread throughout the two warring factions. No more could they raise blade or claw against one another, knowing that the souls of their kin were so inextricably bound. In the days that followed, man and dragon learned to live in harmony, and together built a nation unlike any the world had ever known. For 200 years did this blissful age of peace continue, as it would to this day, had vilest envy not stirred in the hearts of the Elysian. It was said that worms owed their longevity to the boundless reserves of vitality found within their eyes, and 'twas in this belief that a traitorous band of knights deceived their allies of some 2 centuries, and took by force that which they coveted. Nidhogg, he who then stood poised to unleash his wormlings upon Ishgard, was the great dragon who lost an eye to Elysian treachery, and until he prized it from the hands of the traitor's progeny, no amount of conciliatory words would stay his fury. So spoke the Lady Iceheart, who had learned the truth when walking in the memories of Hraesvelgr himself years ago, for like the warrior of light, she too possessed the echo. Nevertheless, Estinian was quick to question the veracity of her account, and reiterated his belief that Nidhogg was lost to reason, prompting Alphino to propose that they instead seek out Hraesvelgr, who had once before endeavored to end the violence between dragon and man. Iceheart agreed to guide them to him, and so the four set forth for his home in Dravania. And that will cover our adventure today. Next time, we will continue the tale of Heaven's Ward with the meeting with Hraesvelgr. But that is a tale for another time. For now, thank you all so much for listening, and I hope to see you next time. Hope you enjoy.